Welcome to the channel. Today we dive deep into the dramatic government shutdown that began on October 1st, 2025, a political deadlock that has stopped much of the US federal government and sparked fears across the country and the globe. This is not just another headline. It's a pivotal moment that highlights the political divisions shaping the United States under President Donald Trump's current administration, a shutdown with lasting consequences for millions of Americans and the stability of global geopolitical affairs. First, let's unpack what a government shutdown means. The U.S. government relies on annual appropriations bills passed by Congress to fund federal agencies and programs. When Congress and the President cannot agree on a budget or a continuing resolution to keep funding flowing, the government can lose its funding authority. At midnight on October 1st, the federal government effectively shut down operations that are considered non-essential. This is the 21st shutdown in modern U.S. history, and the third during President Trump's tenure. It follows years marked by partisan gridlock, but this time carries unique characteristics worth noting. The 2025 shutdown arose from intense congressional conflict, primarily over the 2026 federal budget, and disputes on key issues like health insurance subsidies, foreign aid cuts, and federal spending caps. Republicans, led by President Trump, pushed for significant spending restraint and program cutbacks, while Democrats strongly opposed cuts that they argue would hurt vulnerable Americans. As expected, both sides are pointing fingers. President Trump and Republican congressional leaders blame Democrats for blocking funding bills, especially because Democrats insisted on including health insurance benefit extensions for millions, a demand Republicans refused. Democrats argue the shutdown is a result of Republican unwillingness to compromise or raise spending levels to meaningful levels for critical programs they support. They accuse President Trump and his allies of using budget negotiations as leverage to push ideological cuts that target services Americans rely on. This time, President Trump made an unusual move. Just hours before the shutdown, he met with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries in the Oval Office, a first for Jeffries, but the meeting failed to diffuse tensions. It's important to highlight that the Senate votes on both Democratic and Republican proposals failed. While Republicans secured a majority for their plan, they couldn't break the 60-vote filibuster requirement, leaving no path forward before the deadline. The immediate effect? Roughly 900,000 federal employees have been furloughed, sent home without pay, while about 700,000 others continue working, but won't receive their paychecks until the shutdown ends. Critical government functions continue, but many important services face suspension. For example, agencies like the National Institutes of Health and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have paused parts of their operations, threatening progress on public health initiatives and research. Transportation safety continues, but with air traffic controllers and TSA agents working under severe stress, unpaid. Veterans Affairs keeps most essential work running, but regional offices and certain benefit services face cuts. Moreover, the shutdown disrupts critical data releases, such as the September Employment Report, which investors and policymakers rely on for economic decisions. Hundreds of thousands of Americans who count on government programs like WEG, the Women, Infants, and Children Nutrition Program, face uncertainty. Social services interruptions have ripple effects for communities, especially those already vulnerable. President Trump has intensified the situation by freezing approximately $26 billion in previously approved federal funds, targeting funds in Democratic-led states and major infrastructure projects. Trump's administration called some of this funding excessive or Green New Scam funding, specifically halting about $8 billion allocated towards climate-related projects and $18 billion meant for critical transportation projects in New York, projects championed by prominent Democrats. In parallel, the president has threatened mass federal job cuts beyond the current furloughs, warning that the shutdown could lead to irreversible reductions in workforce numbers. This aggressive stance signals that the administration may leverage the shutdown to reshape the federal government aligned with conservative fiscal priorities. The shutdown's length remains uncertain as congressional negotiations stall with no immediate compromises in sight. The clock ticks as federal agencies prepare for the financial strain of continuing without funding, Economists warn that a prolonged shutdown would cost taxpayers millions daily and worsen economic uncertainty. It may also embolden President Trump to accelerate plans to reduce federal employment dramatically by year's end, potentially cutting 300,000 jobs. Beyond the domestic scene, global observers watch closely. The U.S. government's instability complicates international relations and ongoing foreign aid programs at a time when the world grapples with geopolitical tensions and economic challenges. For ordinary Americans, the shutdown means preparedness, understanding which services might pause and how to manage potential disruptions in government benefits and services. Stay informed about the status of programs you rely on, keep lines of communication open with service providers, and pay close attention to government updates. Ultimately, the resolution depends on political will in Washington. Citizens can influence outcomes by holding elected officials accountable and demanding negotiation over confrontation. The 2025 U.S. government shutdown exposes deep fractures in American politics and governance. It underscores the high stakes of partisan battles over the nation's budget and the tangible impact on millions of American lives. While the drama unfolds in the halls of Congress and the White House, its consequences ripple across communities, government workers, and international partners. This shutdown is more than a budgetary disagreement. It is a reflection of the current condition of American democracy, governance, and the future direction of this global superpower. Stay with us for ongoing updates and analysis of this historic political impasse.